For today's video, we are going to look at a German heavy tank of World War II, the Tiger I. The Tiger differed from earlier German tanks principally in its design philosophy. Its predecessors balanced mobility, armor, and firepower. However, the Tiger focused on improving firepower and armor, at the cost of its mobility. Comparisons can be drawn among the Tiger, the T-34 and the US M4 Sherman tank. The Tiger weighed 56 ton, T-34 32 ton, and Sherman 33 ton. The Tiger had frontal armor 102 mm thick, T-34 had armor 45 mm thick, and its frontal armor was sloped at 32° for better protection. Sherman had frontal armor 60 mm thick. The Tiger had 88 mm gun, while T-34 and Sherman had 76 mm gun. We'll look at the Caterpillar tracks, the turret, and where the crew sat. The Tiger operated beginning in 1942 in Africa and in the Soviet Union, usually in independent heavy tank battalions. It gave the German army its first armored fighting vehicle that mounted the 88 mm gun. It was in service from 1942 to 1945. Let's look at some specs. The length of the tank with the gun was 8.45 meters, without the gun was 6.32 meters. The width 3.56 meters and the height 3 meters. For comparison, here's the size of a person. This tank weighed 56 ton. Even with all that weight, the tank was capable of speeds of up to 45.4 km per hour on roads, and 20 km per hour cross-country. It had a fuel capacity of 540 liters. Again, just for comparison, most cars can only hold about 60 liters. The fuel consumption per 100 kilometers on road was 450 liters, and it was 10 liters for cars. Let's look at some other feature. We have the Caterpillar tracks, the wheels, the hull, and the turret. The turret spun on top, and held the weapons and other equipment. 5 men crewed the Tiger, consisting of the commander, gunner, loader, driver, and radio operator. The commander was the most important role. He was the brain of the tank and conducted the unified action, including how the tank moved, which target the weapon hit, etc. The gunner was the second most important person, responsible for observing the target, executing the firing order and destroying the enemy target. The loader was responsible for loading ammunition, and ensuring the normal operation of the main gun. The driver, responsible for driving the tank. Radio operator, dealing with communication tasks. The driver and radio operator was in the front left and right of the hull, respectively. The commander, gunner and loader was in turret. 2 types of Caterpillar tracks can be installed on the Tiger, 520 mm tracks for transportation and 720 mm tracks for combat. There were 8 road wheels on each side of the tank, in an overlapping and interleaved arrangement, providing a high uniform distribution of the load onto the track, at the cost of increased maintenance. Removing an inner wheel for repair, which was a common occurrence, required the removal of other outer wheels first. Caterpillar tracks allowed the tank to go over some very rough terrain, since the tank had a large surface area to displace all that weight. Unfortunately, the Caterpillar tracks were the most likely part of the tank to break. The track was composed of many small segments. Considerable internal stress would be generated in the process of friction against various grounds. The Tiger had impressive armor for 1941, with the front plate 102 mm thick, the side and rear plate 82 mm. Armor plates were mostly flat, with interlocking construction. The armor joints were of high quality, being stepped and welded rather than riveted, and were made of Maraging steel. Its armor overall was of the highest quality available for production to Henschel and Germany at the time. And this top part was called the turret, with a weight of 11 ton. It can rotate all the way around in about 45 seconds. The primary armament consisted of the 88 mm gun in the turret. The shells leave the barrel at about 600 meters per second. It can hit a target 1,600 meters away. Secondary armament consisted of a MG-34 coaxial machine gun, and was operated by means of a floor-mounted firing pedal. There was not much room for equipment inside of the tank, so oftentimes the crew put it out here on the bustle rack. The driver, radio operator, commander and loader had their own hatches. Only the gunner did not have a dedicated hatch. This posed potential danger for the gunner. If the tank was damaged during the combat, the crew members may need to abandon the tank, and other crew members can escape at the first time through their own hatch, but only the gunner had to wait until the commander left the hatch. 3 men were seated in the turret, the loader to the right of the gun facing to the rear, the gunner to the left of the gun, and the commander behind him. This was to leave as much space as possible for the loader. When the turret rotated, it rotated together with the 3 crew members. Underneath here, this was called the turret basket. The commander could observe through the binocular periscope. Due to the limited viewing angle, the periscope was mainly used to observe the impact of shells, not to search for targets. Forward was an open crew compartment, with the driver and radio operator seated at the front on either side of the gearbox. The driver sat in the front left of the tank, with all the controls up here. The Tiger provided its driver with a direct vision visor, and there was a periscope in the driver's hatch, but it faced to the side and could not rotate. 1,347 Tiger tanks were built between August 1942 and August 1944. After August 1944, production of the Tiger I was phased out. My name is Claytab. We create 3D animations on various topics. Go ahead, subscribe this channel for lots more animations just like this one.